Hey folks, my name is Tom Vasel, and this is another video where we're taking a look back at board games in 2015. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at family games. Now, family games, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is a family, some parents and kids getting together. It could be a group of adults, it could be a group of teenagers, whatever. Sometimes we call these casual games. These are games that anybody can play. They're not really heavy on strategy or theming, although they can have both of those really involved in them. But they're great games that if you just want to pick up and have a great time with a dose of strategy involved, I think they're excellent. Now, I haven't played every game from 2015, but I have played a lot of them. And these are the 10 best family games. Number 10 for me is Favor of the Pharaoh. Favor of the Pharaoh is a reprint of an older game with dice, but this one it has really cool custom dice, and essentially this one is like Super Yahtzee because you're trying to roll better than everybody else on this final countdown. But to get to that final countdown, you need to collect dice. And in this game, which is going to be different every time you play it, because there's different tiles in the game each time, you're going to roll dice, and the combination will let you get a tile. And that tile might give you another die, a die with different numbers. It might be 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, have different sides to the dice. It might give you just extra dice or a special ability, like you can re-roll a die each turn of the game, or something like that. And so you're trying to get these right tiles, so when there's that big final roll-off at the end, you can win fast and easy, and also a lot of variety. Favor of the Pharaoh. Number 9 is Artifacts, Inc. This is another dice rolling game, and this one has some very similar feels. And this one you're trying to get points through different ways by searching for artifacts and collecting resources. But each turn you're going to be rolling dice, and then you're going to use those dice and place those dice on different spots. And you might get more dice as the game goes by. You might find some treasures, some artifacts, and then sell them for points or just for money so that you can do other things. There's different places to go and search. It sounds maybe a little bit more confusing than it is, but it really is pretty simple. There's only a few things you can do, and there's just this constant back and forth, like I'm going to go do this with my dice, and it gives a good overall theming to this whole archaeologist thing also. That's Artifacts, Inc. Number 8 is Civilizations. Oddly named, that's because the same company made a game called CV, and now they have on Civilizations. But in Civilization, you are growing a civilization as the game goes by, and you have these cards in your hand, and this card might give you some wood, and this card might give you some stone, and this card might let you get a resource of your choice, whatever the cards do. But when you play these cards, you're going to play one card face up and one card face down, and everyone else is doing the same thing. You reveal all the cards, and if you play a card by yourself, you'll get some benefit. If you play a card and someone else also plays a card, you get a better benefit. If multiple people, more than 2, play the card, usually the benefit goes down in value. So you're trying to guess when other people are playing the cards. You can actually see some of the cards they're playing and try to figure out when's the best time to play the right cards. You get these resources that let you buy cards. These cards give you special abilities. And by the end of the game, you have your little civilization, and whoever has the most points wins, but pretty solid, fun, and some entertaining artwork too. Number 7 is Brick Party. Brick Party is essentially, they could have called it Lego Party, because you get these little Legos. It's a party game back and forth in which you're building different structures, except you're not building them. You are giving instructions to someone else to build it. So I'm saying, okay, you need to grab that block and put it there. And then there's even another restriction, like maybe that person can only use one hand. Or maybe the person who's building it is blindfolded. Or maybe they hold the card with one hand and I have to read the instructions off that card while they build it. And everyone's going up against each other. Hilarious fun. Everyone likes to build with Lego blocks. And this has not, they're a competitor, but it doesn't matter. It works really well in a party game setting. Number 6 is another party-style game, and that's Giraffometer. In Giraffometer, you're going to have a bunch of things in the middle of the table, a bunch of facts, like maybe the number of times a bumblebee flaps its wing in a minute, or the height of the Chrysler building. There's a bunch of facts there, and you are trying to guess which fact has the highest number and which fact has the lowest number. Now, there's a ton of cards in the box. They all have different numbers on them, and sometimes you're like, I'm pretty sure that's the highest number. You might even know some of them. Probably you won't, but you might know some. And say, well, it's definitely the highest. But wait, that one might be higher too. And so players are simply just trying to guess the highest and the lowest, but who works really well in a setting. Even though you might remember some of the numbers as time goes by, mixing them with the other numbers gives this game some pretty long-term replayability, and it's a lot of fun. Giraffometer. Number 5 is a 2-player game that I mentioned, and that's Risk Star Wars. Now, the reason I recommend this one is because it is not Risk and it is not Star Wars. It is a 2-player game. Well, did I say not Star Wars? It's not Risk. It's definitely Star Wars. But it's Star Wars Return of the Jedi, where they're attacking the second Death Star, trying to blow that thing up. And the Darth Vader and the Emperor are trying to stop Luke. And so you're doing a lightsaber battle in one part. You have some troops in the ground trying to take out the shield generator. And then you have your X-Wings and TIE Fighters fighting. It sounds like a very complex game. It's not. It's very simple. It's very fun, back and forth. And this is one I can see a lot of parents maybe wanting to play with one of their kids, or just two people wanting to play a game with each other. It really works well with a lot of cool miniatures, and it's pretty inexpensive. So that was number 5. Number 4 is Super Motherlode. Super Motherlode is a game in which you are digging for treasures and stuff on Mars. If you've ever played the game Dig Dug, that's essentially what this is. It's a deck building game, but very simple. You'll have some cards, and you'll be playing these cards to slowly dig and get resources that you can then buy more cards with. And as the game goes by, the different cards you buy will help you to dig better. Each player also has a minor special ability they can use, which differentiates between the 4 players. You're all using the same tunnels to dig from. There's almost like a scrolling board. It really does have a little bit of a video game brought to a board game feel to it, but very simple to get into, easy, with some excellent components involved. Number 3 is New York 1901. In New York 1901, you're building skyscrapers. Well, old-time skyscrapers, when like 10 stories was like an immensely huge building. But you're going to be building these skyscrapers in different buildings around in New York, trying to get them along different streets, which are worth more points, trying to get them out on the board at all. As players are putting them out, they're going to block areas where you buy into properties. A very simple game. Gather some properties, build skyscrapers on them. A little bit of a Tetris type feel as you put different shaped buildings out on the board, trying to get the really big ones out. A lot of fun. This game is not getting as much buzz near the end of the year, but it should be because it's a very solid game. New York 1901. Number 2, phenomenally fun game, is Dr. Eureka. Now, Dr. Eureka looks almost like a kid's game, and kids can play it, but it's a great family game because essentially you have 3 test tubes, and in each test tube are 2 colored balls, 2 purples, 2 greens, and 2 oranges. You then flip a card over, and it shows how the test tube should look. So you're pouring balls from one to the other, trying to get those right combinations out there. First person does it wins that round. You then leave those combinations the way they are, turn another one over, and try to mix them to the next combination. So there's a bit of dexterity as you're trying to get the balls to go from one tube to the other, but also some logic as you're trying to figure out, okay, if I have a purple, orange, and a green here, but I need 2 greens over here, first I pour the green one, then I move this one here. Really fun, cool components. I cannot recommend this one enough. And then finally, number 1 is Asking for Troubles. This is a game in a worker placement game where you're going to be putting spaceships on a board, collecting resources, and then using those resources to get rid of these annoying trouble aliens that have shown up on your planet. The game, which has a very shiny veneer of orange all over it, is very simple and easy as you sit there and go, ooh, I'll take that resource, I'll take that one. But it also lets you upgrade a spot. So maybe going to this spot gives me some ore. But later on, I can upgrade it so when I go there, I get 2 ore. And now when I go there, I get 2 ore and a card. And so there's just a lot of different ways that players can take actions, but at the same time, very simple and easy. And I just seen this one come out to great success. So that's my favorite family game of the year. My 10th favorite, actually. What are your favorite family games? Why don't you post them in the comments? Tell me what I've missed. Tell other people what you like. And we thank you for watching. And again, as always, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.